by surprise. ABC's Shannon Kingston is traveling with the secretary in El Salvador.
In a stunning announcement, Secretary of State Rubio said the president of El Salvador had offered to host dangerous criminals of any nationality in his country's notorious prisons, even Americans.
He has offered to house in his jails dangerous American criminals in custody in our country, including those of U.S. citizenship and legal residence.
Rubio called it an unprecedented offer of friendship, but it'll face steep legal hurdles. The Bill of Rights protects Americans from cruel and unusual punishment. Shannon Kingston, ABC News, San Salvador.
And that is the latest news. We've got your weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 9:32 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Got a couple people waiting on hold, like my friend Frank in Middle Tennessee. Hang on, guys. We'll get to your calls next. 615-737-9986. Real quick, you saw it was drizzling out today, a little bit of rain. If you got cracks in your foundation or waterproofing issues at your house, even a little bit of rain is making you bite your fingernails, isn't it? Because you know where that water's going. It's getting into your crawl space, it's getting into your basement, and it's wreaking havoc. You need to get the problem solved. If you don't, you're just asking for the problem to get worse. It's not going to go away on its own. Call the experts that understand waterproofing. Call the best. Call USS. These guys have been doing waterproofing work in Middle Tennessee since 1994, and they have over 30,000 satisfied customers. Because the guys they send to your house to do the job are pros. They're not sales guys working on a quota. They're not going to try to upsell you to the next big thing. No, they have no problem saying if this is a small fix, and they have no problem coming up with a custom solution for you if it is a big fix. If you don't get it fixed, though, you're asking for trouble. Wood rot, mold, more. Don't let it get worse. Call USS today, 615-488-7855. That's 615-488-7855. Online, USSTN.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about Spice and Easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Catherine, to Ashley's point, quantify what the actual impact is here. For people saying, look, the market bounced back, no tariffs were put into place, Trump got what he wanted, all's well, we'll do this again in 30 days. Is that kind of the reality from an economic perspective?
I mean, I don't know what Trump wanted in this situation. Again, he didn't actually get anything. But if he were to put these tariffs in place, they would be very painful for American consumers. Okay, Scott, I mean, this is public information.
He got what he wanted. He got an agreement from our neighbors to do more on the border. That's what he wanted, and he got it.
Exactly what they have already been
I understand
doing.
you're the minister of propaganda tonight, but you don't have to be. You could just say, "Hey, all's well that ends well." Here, come on.
If you don't know that these countries are committing to do exactly what they have already been doing, either you haven't done your homework or you think the American people are idiots. Because again, they're doing
option three. Donald Trump is enforcing what needs to be done at the border, which is more help from our friends. They are our allies, and they are important people, but they need to help us, and they've not been helping us, and now they're going to help us even more.
They have been.
But the point is that it's also...
Ask every family with a fentanyl death how much they've been helping.
Scott, can I just ask you...
Well, they have done nothing more.
Scott, can I ask you, though, like this playbook...
You know, she laughs that off, Scott Jennings versus Jennifer Rampnell. She is a Washington Post columnist. That was on CNN last night at superwater.com. So Scott Jennings, he's going back and forth with this woman. She doesn't understand that she's arguing they've already committed to do this. Yeah, they've been committing to do a lot of things, but they haven't done it. And what Donald Trump is doing is holding their feet to the fire. She says they got rolled. No. You had Canada and Mexico yesterday bending the knee to Trump. And then the tariffs are paused for 30 days. And if they break their commitment, the commitments they already committed to committing to, then the tariffs are going to be back in place. Trump is doing his thing. Make no mistake about it. People don't want to give Trump credit for anything. He's winning. He's winning at a very, very high level. Our allies need to get with the program. Let's make no mistake about it. You know, with friends like these, who needs enemies? Our allies need to start acting like our allies and supporting us in these ventures on the border. Plain and simple. And with Donald Trump back in office, now they are. Isn't it crazy how that works out? Once you have a president that's respected again, you're going to have your allies doing what they said they were going to do. Yeah. Yep. You know, it's like our allies do need to get in shape. We actually have people that I don't know if you would consider allies, but they're stepping up. A senior Qatari official says, we're counting on Trump. I wonder if the media is going to report on this kind of stuff. You know, I wonder if the Washington Post, Jennifer Rampnell, if she's reading this. Senior Qatari official, we are counting on Trump. We want the Middle East to be great again. Trump's push for peace is critical. Oh, but he's just an idiot. Orange man dumb. Yet you have world leaders looking at this guy saying, yeah, this is the way we need to go. We need this guy. Senior official within the Qatari government speaking out in a Breitbart News exclusive interview, encouraging President Donald Trump to continue to push for peace in the Middle East, just ahead of Trump's Monday evening meeting with Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Dr. Mahid bin Mohammed Al Ansari, the spokesperson for Qatar's Ministry of Foreign Affairs and a senior advisor to Qatar's Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman bin Jassim bin Jabbar Al Thani. I think I nailed it, actually. I think I nailed that. Spoke to Breitbart News by phone exclusively Monday morning, saying that Trump has put the Middle East on a pathway to peace, and seeing the ceasefire in Gaza through to a lasting peace is critical, expanding his vision in the region. Even guys that are far, far away understand what Trump is doing. It starts by putting America first, and if you don't put America first, then you can't help the world, right? We got to put our oxygen mask on first. We have to. This is what we need, and this is what Donald Trump promised on the campaign trail. We're seeing it in real time. Promises made, promises kept.
I can say, Larry, is to the American people, promises made, promises kept. Yep. Donald Trump told you he was going to do everything to secure this nation, and that's what he's done. No talking points, no silly blue ribbon panels that go nowhere, that do absolutely decisive action with results. That's what Donald Trump has brought here. Listen, nobody wants to be in an out-and-out trade war. There's other things that need to occur. But Canada and Mexico, both of them had to know how serious we are. They are going to commit the resources. The president, in my view, this is a win for him. But more importantly, this is a win for the American people. Fentanyl has been killing more Americans than anything else in our country, the #1 cause of death between the ages of 18 and 45. The drug cartels have had operational control of both of our borders, Larry. This has got to change. Donald Trump promised it, and he has delivered.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I don't know how else you can explain it. Let's go to Frank, who wants to talk about Canada. Frank, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, man? Thanks for holding.
Good morning. There's been a lot of discussion over the years about California splitting in half. Well, here's a plan. You guys have a very broad audience. You may be able to put this through. Northern California, California, 31st state. So let's start with dividing California in half. Northern California, 31st state, predominantly red. Southern California, 51st state, predominantly blue.
There's been talks about that for years and years. The state of Jefferson.
Right. But here, and I think California, I was out in California years ago teaching classes at the academies, and they were very serious about it. This may actually, with Trump being back, maybe push that to actually doing that. The 31st and 51st state. Now, Canada, I taught classes up there too when I was DOGE, Department of Defense. They don't like each other, North and South Canada, the English versus the French Canadians. Well, how about making Southern Canada the 53rd state, Northern Canada, 54th state, and then let President Vance in 4 years decide what he wants to do about annexing Mexico. And then, of course, they stick in Greenland in there. Greenland could become the 52nd state. So that would give us 58 states and territories if you do that. Maybe 59 if we take over the rest of it.
Listen, I'm as mad as the next guy about having to drive through Canada to get to America in Alaska. Let's be fair. I don't think we want Canada as a state, maybe as a territory, but we don't want those leftist views. Even their conservatives are overwhelmingly leftist. And then as far as California, that's probably has more of a realistic shot, but I would still put those chances very, very, very low.
Yeah, but it's good. It's good. It's fun to think about, ain't it?
It is. It is fun to think about. And I heard you mention you were with the DOD, so I just want to say thank you for your service, Frank. I appreciate the call.
And next time you guys are bored, we can discuss the Idaho-Oregon resolution to annex Greater Idaho to Oregon because of the red and blue. But anyway, I just want to throw an idea about Canada and California. You guys have a great day, and thanks for everything you're doing.
Hey, I appreciate the call, Frank. Thanks so much. I don't know if we're going to be bored anytime soon. If these last 2 weeks are any indication of what we have to come over the next 4 years, I'm not sure if boredom is going to be on the list of words we use to describe it. I don't know. Just me. Tim is on the road. He wants to talk about RFK. That vote is currently ongoing. What's up, Tim?
Well, hey, I really hope that RFK does get confirmed. But with the changes he's wanting to make in the food and drug and our agricultural things, one thing I wanted to bring up is that under the environmental part of it, I think you've heard of carbon credits.
Yes.
Okay, so one of the things they're doing, and Pfizer and Moderna, a bunch of the pharmaceutical companies are in on this, to do is carbon credit farming. They're encouraging farmers to get in on it so they get money from companies that want to lower their carbon footprint in numbers, not necessarily physically, but just by offsetting. But one of the things they're doing a lot of scientific research, and they're pulling microbial organisms out of the soil and all across the country, and they're taking them in the laboratory and they're modifying them to where they will capture more carbon. So everybody knows anything about biology and plant life is that plants not only produce oxygen, but they also produce carbon, and they also take carbon in, the CO2 in, and then they store it in the roots and in the soil. So they're taking and they're experimenting with microbials that are naturally occurring in the soil to make them, like, I guess, superhero microbials to absorb more of the CO2 and hold it in the soil. My thing is, we know what pesticides and herbicides have done over the years to our food. And now they're wanting to manipulate genetically natural organisms, that when they put them back in the soil, they put them in these pellets and whatnot. So the farmers, when they're doing low-till or no-till farming or whatever it is, that when they're seeding, they're putting these microbials back into the soil. Well, they're going to end up leaching into the groundwater.
Yeah, I hadn't heard about these microbials. This is the first time I'm hearing about it. I'll look into it, but I didn't know which way you were going with it. I err on the side of caution. I'm with you. I think that you're venturing into the land of unintended consequences, messing around with that kind of stuff.
Well, it's kind of like if you're from the South, you know all about kazoo vine. The kudzu vine that he put on the side of highways for erosion control. They brought it up from South America.
Yep.
Oh, this is going to be great. It keeps the water. And then what happens? The stuff goes wild. You can't get rid of it. You can even burn it out, and it will still come back. The only way to remove it is if you take the soil, that layer of soil that the roots are in, to get rid of it. But if you go driving the highway, you'll see where that stuff has gotten into people's property and up in their trees. It kills trees. It kills other vegetation. It just completely takes over.
Yeah.
Well, the same thing. Here you are. You're trying to manipulate. Now, I'm not saying science is a bad thing, because we've got a lot of good stuff from science. But I think that that's something that they really need to explore before, and they're doing it. And so the plants, this stuff is manipulating the yield of the crops, which farmers want a bigger yield on their crops and stuff. But I think that when you start messing with that part of it, and the CO2 is a farce anyway.
I'm with you. I'm with you, Tim, and I appreciate the call, and hopefully RFK will look into that kind of stuff. RFK has passed the Senate Finance Committee. He's advancing to the full Senate vote. We'll keep you updated as those votes become available. Gary in Nashville, you're up next on Super Talk. What's up, Gary?
Hey, good morning, Chris. Here's my deal. Trump, and I've got a matrix that together execution thing. He's got 208 weeks. He's in week 206. I think he'll beat the first 100 days in getting everything done. So he has proven that we have politicians that don't know how to work, do not know how to get things done, and he has totally changed the political landscape with the new gold standard.
I'm with you, Gary, 100%. This has changed everything, and it's flipped the status quo on its head. You're absolutely right. Let's go to Larry in Clarksville. You're up next on Super Talk. What's up, Larry?
Good morning, Chris. And I am completely with not the previous caller, but the one before him. One of my college essays was entitled, "Are We What We Eat?" And it had to do with these GMOs. But also, the reason I called was because I have driven from the U.S. to Canada or to Alaska and back in January, and it was an adventure, brother. It was an adventure, eh?
I think Alaska would be beautiful. That's on my bucket list of places I want to go. I don't know if I would drive there, but a lot of times I've said many times I wouldn't do a cruise. I feel like it's a floating prison. But you could probably talk me into a cruise in Alaska.
I have family from there, and so they go up there and visit all the time, and I've always wanted to go and join them. Yeah, and they always come back, and they're like, "This is one of the best trips I've ever taken." So yeah, it's on my bucket list for sure.
100%. All right, we got a lot more to cover on the way. Hang out with us. It's 9:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, and I'm here for my friends at Busy Bee Winter Clearance. Winter clearance. So I need to tell you what's going on with Busy Bee? They have winter clearance specials happening right now. Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, they're clearing out their 2024 inventory so that way they can make room for the 2025 inventory. And right now they have a 14-SEER, 1.5 to 3-ton split heat pump model for just $6,997. It's a great deal, and if you can pay for it up front, that deal is all yours. Also, you get a bundle smart thermostat for free. This offer is going to be limited to the first 25 customers, and if you're in need of maintenance, maybe you're not there for replacement, but you could hit some maintenance on your unit. Well, Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, they'll take care of your systems. Join the Beehive Club today. I'm a Beehive Club member, and I got to tell you, it will pay for itself. And if you ever have an issue, you get that front of the line service. They're at your home so fast. Plus, you get 3 annual tune-ups, 10% off all repairs, a $100 annual accrued replacement credit, and no overtime or holiday fees. This is exclusively from Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Join the Beehive Club today, 615-775-7833, 615-775-7833, online, busybeehvac.com.
Well, there's nomination news just flowing in this morning. We've got the latest for you. Also, they called it a day without immigrants. A look at the protest in Nashville yesterday. Those stories at 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. 9:58 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So yesterday, in between Canada bending the knee and Mexico bending the knee, Donald Trump also created the Sovereign Wealth Fund for America. Okay. All right. I'm listening. He signed an executive order yesterday directing his Treasury and Commerce secretaries to begin the process of establishing an American Sovereign Wealth Fund. Trump signed the order in the Oval Office with Scott Bessent, Howard Lutnick, and more. And he said, we're going to have a Sovereign Wealth Fund, which we've never had. We have a lot of things that create wealth, and you've never seen that over the last 2 weeks. Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, said the fund would be established within a year. So this is very exciting. We're going to stand this thing up within the next 12 months. We're going to monetize the asset side of the U.S. balance sheet for the American people. And he said it's going to put these assets to work, which is, it's interesting. You know, sovereign wealth funds they're a way for governments to hold assets and investments. And if they're run the right way, they could provide income to the government that they would otherwise have to get from taxing you. But Norway has them. They use it with their oil fields. But if they're badly run, they're just another way for government to steal money. And it would operate like a slush fund. So I want to give Trump the benefit of the doubt with this, but I do worry that if you create the Sovereign Wealth Fund, I don't see a world where the Democrats win back power in 4 years. But if JD then gets 8, you're looking at 12 years down the road, and you've ramped this thing up to a very, very high level, and then a Democrat gets control of it. I'm not sure I like it as much in that case, because then it goes to what? The Green New Scam and things of that nature. If it's run poorly, it could be very, very poor for the country. If it's run great, it could be very, very great. But I'm not getting too excited about the Sovereign Wealth Fund yet. Just me. On the way, we got a lot to cover. USAID, they got a new acting director, and he's got a lot to say. We'll bring it to you right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Ten o'clock. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. 59 degrees. It's drizzling in some spots this morning. I think that surprised forecasters. We're going to 61, and we'll have more on the forecast in a moment. Well, there is news on nominations today. Robert F. Kennedy's nomination to lead the Department of Health and Human Services cleared a key vote today. Now that nomination is headed to the Senate floor for a final confirmation vote. Also, Politico is reporting that Indiana Republican Senator Todd Young has announced that he will back Tulsi Gabbard as Director of National Intelligence, and that greatly improves her chances of confirmation. He said he was swayed by the wave of political pressure from Trump allies. Meantime, the final confirmation vote for Pam Bondi to lead the DOJ could take place in the next day or two. Senate Republicans voted to break a filibuster yesterday. A couple of employees that work for Ronald Reagan National Airport have been arrested. They were charged with illegally accessing the airport's videos of the deadly plane crash over the Potomac last week, and then handing the videos over to CNN, which repeatedly played those videos. It's not clear if the two men were paid for leaking the video. I-65 in Robertson County open again now after a woman was hit by multiple vehicles and killed last night. TDOT said she had been walking along the northbound lanes of the interstate near Bethel Road when she was hit last night. She died at the scene. It's not clear why she was walking along the interstate. Now, that accident comes after another pedestrian was hit and killed in Spring Hill on Saturn Parkway early yesterday morning. Police have identified both the driver and the victim in that case, but they're asking anybody who may have seen the crash to give them a call. Dozens of people rallying against mass deportations of illegal immigrants at Centennial Park yesterday. Leaders said that rally was aimed at fighting misinformation, but that is not clear what misinformation they were referring to. Taking a look here at stocks, and right now the Dow Jones Industrials are up 40 points. We've got the NASDAQ gaining 229. S&P 500 index, that is up 36 points. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
It's 10:05 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how's it going? I'm Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC. Get your water filtration system, your water softener, betterwater.com. More on them in a little while. But real quick, USAID. Well, it's getting merged with the State Department. Marco Rubio is now in charge. And I'm here for it. I'm here for it. You've heard all of the rampant fraud and abuse that was going on at USAID, and there's a lot more to detail. Believe me, a lot more to detail. From abortion video games to diversity, equity, inclusion in, what was it, like New Guinea? I don't know. It's insane. Insane. I saw a meme Elon tweeted last night. What country taxes its citizens and sends the money to the United States? Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, our citizens are dealing with, not having homes in Western North Carolina and California and toxic chemical spills in East Palestine. I think they're still trying to build in Lahaina after those wildfires there during Joe Biden's presidency. It's insane. And USAID just throws our money all over the world. Marco Rubio is not having it.
Well, look, I mean, my frustration with USAID goes back to my time in Congress. It's a completely unresponsive agency. It's supposed to respond to policy directives of the State Department, and it refuses to do so. So the functions of USAID, there are a lot of functions of USAID that are going to continue, that are going to be part of American foreign policy, but it has to be aligned with American foreign policy. I said very clearly during my confirmation hearing that every dollar we spend and every program we fund, that will be aligned with the national interest of the United States. And USAID has a history of sort of ignoring that and deciding that there's somehow a global charity separate from the national interest. These are taxpayer dollars. And so I'm very troubled by these reports that they've been unwilling to cooperate with people who are asking simple questions about what does this program do, who gets the money, who are our contractors, who's funded. And that sort of level of insubordination makes it impossible to conduct the sort of mature and serious review that I think foreign aid writ large should have. We're spending taxpayer money here. These are not donor dollars. These are taxpayer dollars.
I love it. It's refreshing to hear this guy say, listen, if you're not aligned with American interests, we're not spending donor dollars. We're spending taxpayer dollars. There needs to be a level of accountability here. Marco Rubio's not playing around. I was hesitant about Marco Rubio. The more I hear from him, the more I think that he is on our page, on our team, and the more I like him. I'm not going to lie to you. But I was very hesitant about Rubio in the beginning. But when you hear him talking like this, you see what he's doing down in Panama, you hear him talking about Greenland, he's helping us win. He's helping us win.
And we owe the American people the assurances that every dollar we are spending abroad is being spent on something that furthers our national interest.
Yeah, listen, and we talked about some of the spending that USAID was facilitating. Like, simple little things like helping the humble Afghan farmer cultivate opium, right? That's not exactly where I want my tax dollars going. I'm sure it's not where you want your tax dollars going. And the more you hear about where some of these tax dollars going, the more you see the kvetching from both the left and some on the right about this. You have to wonder, who's keeping an eye on this stuff? Well, I mean, the short answer is nobody has been. Nobody has been. Elon Musk posted a fascinating thread last night. And he retweeted it, and he said, it really makes you think. And it's from an account called ANC Aesthetica, okay? ANC Aesthetics. Talked to a friend who has connections with the Democratic Party, and he said the level of panic over Trump and Elon shutting down USAID is unlike anything he's ever seen. By following the money, DOGE has struck a killing blow to the heart of the Democrat deep state machine. I think you could just underline deep state machine. Direct quote, this is worse than 9/11 for Democrats. USAID is the primary vessel they use to achieve their political agenda. USAID is and always has been the primary source of funding for their influence peddling schemes and for their indirect sources of income. Another text. Based on the reactions from within the party, it seems to me that the dismantling of USAID is Trump's biggest political victory to date. It was his enemy's golden goose. Same source told me during the campaign, well before it was made public, that Kamala's internal polling had her behind Trump, so his information is good. Another important addition, he said initial plans by the Democrats is to have their people at USAID hide their partisan funding under unimpeachable initiatives. They will push back really hard on certain line items that on their face look reasonable, USAID expenditures, and hide their political spending under these programs. At Elon Musk, looks like this whole thing needs to be thrown out to avoid this from happening. More. Another solution for Democrats, which they already use to reward their VIPs, is to use NGOs as an intermediary to direct funds where they want them to go. So basically, USAID allocates funds for a certain initiative that looks reasonable. Democrat-friendly NGOs contracted to carry out the initiative. NGO number one subcontracts VIP, which is another NGO owned and operated by a political ally or a Democrat politician. And eventually, the funds will reach the secret intended target, and the original problem is not solved. This means they can continue to rinse and repeat this grift. If Trump, Elon want this to stick, they need to completely shut down USAID or fire the entire staff. The party has instructed their allies not to make waves and blend in. USAID is 99% Democrats. They will not be able to save it without risking internal sabotage. I do think that Marco Rubio and Donald Trump understand the risks of this. And when you listen to the left melting down, well, it gives a little bit more credence to what this thread that Elon retweeted says. And Ilhan Omar she's been going off about USAID being shut down. She claimed that the agency saved her life, and she's very upset, just very, very upset that Elon and Trump are getting rid of this. This was an unhinged rant from Ilhan Omar.
It is really, really a sad day in America. We are witnessing a constitutional crisis. We talked about Trump wanting to be a dictator on day one, and here we are.
I don't think that you're a dictator if you want to make sure that you're good stewards of the American tax dollar. At all, actually. Whatsoever. Ilhan Omar, well, she disagrees.
This is what the beginning of dictatorship looks like. When you gut the Constitution and you install yourself as the sole power, that is how dictators are made.
I mean, listen, having no oversight on how you're spending tax dollars isn't really exactly democracy, right? It's not, Ilhan. It's not.
What Trump and Elon and all of their cronies are trying to do is take away the constitutional power of Congress. We get to decide. We have the power of the purse. We get to decide where money is allocated, and it's the executive's power to make sure that that money gets to where it needs to get.
I mean, does she have some kind of personal stake in USAID? Like, why is she so upset about it? Oh, it actually turns out that she does have a bit of personal stake in it. You see, the country that Ilhan Omar represents, Somalia, they've received over $2.3 billion in humanitarian assistance since fiscal year 2022 from USAID. That's why she's so upset. Make no mistake about it. She's upset that the gravy train is going to stop rolling.
When we talk about civil servants being let go, what we are talking about is not saving money. It's essentially saying they can get paid while they're home and their work doesn't get done on behalf of the American people.
All right, well, let's talk about the work that's being done on behalf of the American people. I mean, what are we spending some of this money on? Well, let's see. I know that some of the money was spent on abortion video games. Yep. But it's gender equity in abortion video games. USAID promotes gender equality and improved health through Half the Sky movement mobile games. This is from like a decade ago. Today, the United States Agency for International Development launched 3 mobile games through its public-private partnership with Half the Sky movement. The game tackles key issues related to health and gender equity. The Family Choice game aims to increase the perception of girls' place in and value to families, with a focus on keeping girls in schools. Okay, all right. 9 Minutes introduces players to the keys, do's, and don'ts of having a healthy pregnancy. And Worm Attack. Players work to rid themselves and their communities of intestinal worms. This is what your tax dollars are going to. This is the work of the American people. And golly, we need to get that work done, don't we? This is just insane. This is insane. And they're unhinged and they're ranting about it. Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller commented on USAID, and he lays it on the line. He's like, listen, we're not going to let USAID interfere in the affairs of foreign countries to thwart America's interests, because that's what a lot of this money goes to.
The president is at the apex of his powers when he's exercising the foreign policy of the United States. So he has plenary authority to carry out the foreign policy of the United States. So bureaucrats at USAID cannot interfere in the affairs of foreign countries to prop up regimes, to thwart America's interests, to facilitate mass illegal immigration, nor to facilitate diversity, equity, and inclusion policies which violate federal civil rights law. All this DEI BS violates the federal civil rights law of the United States. So the president is at the apex of authority here. Moreover, as you mentioned, Congress doesn't dictate to these agencies how to spend the money. Agencies exercise discretion on these grants, on these contracts. So take, for example, funding to these non-governmental organizations, NGOs, that fund open borders. So they funnel tens of billions of dollars to these open borders private sector orgs. Congress never passed a law giving those organizations that money. President Trump can not only pause all those funds, not only can the agencies pause those funds, but agencies can instead, if they wanted to, give those funds to organizations that support border security, that deport illegal aliens, that find criminal aliens, that provide detention for dangerous illegal immigrants in this country. There's no law passed by Congress that says that we have to funnel money to organizations that traffic children. Quite the opposite. These are crimes. Illegal immigration is a crime. DEI is a crime.
Yeah,
President.
let's go. Let's put it all out on the table. Carolyn Leavitt, press secretary for Donald Trump, she outlined some of the insane priorities of USAID. You know, you hear Stephen Miller, and he's talking about how they're going to NGOs that are funding illegal immigration into this country. And yeah, that's bad. But that, at least like you can understand the thought process there. Some of this stuff, you really can't understand the thought process or why we're spending money on this at all. Like, I don't agree with the thought process, but like I get why they want to do that. You know, they want to destroy the country, right? Plain and simple. But at least like I can follow that step by step why they would want to do that. Some of this stuff, as Carolyn Leavitt lays out, you don't even understand why anybody's throwing money at this in the first place.
And here's the reason why Elon Musk and others have been taking a look. Because if you look at the waste and abuse that has run through USAID over the past several years, these are some of the insane priorities that organization has been spending money on. $1.5 million to advance DEI in Serbia's workplaces.
Who wouldn't want to spend their tax dollars to make sure that DEI is at the forefront of Serbia's workplaces?
$70,000 for a production of a DEI musical in Ireland.
I would go see that before a WNBA game in Nashville. Not gonna lie.
$47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia.
Okay. Transgender opera. A trans opera, if you will. In Colombia. This is what Ilhan Omar is yelling about. So you have to laugh to keep from crying. There are homeless Americans in North Carolina that have been ravaged by Hurricane Helene, still without a home. Yet we have money for a DEI musical in Ireland and a transgender opera in Colombia.
$32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru.
Okay, well, listen. I'm not going to give up my transgender comic books in Peru. I don't. What the hell? Hey, I mean, all right. This is what they're arguing to hang on to. Transgender comic books in Peru.
I don't know about you, but as an American taxpayer, I don't want my dollars going towards this crap, and I know the American people don't either, and that's exactly what Elon Musk has been tasked by President Trump to do, to get the fraud, waste, and abuse out of our federal government.
Yeah, let's be honest. That is fraud, that is waste, that is abuse. I don't want to fund non-transgender comic books in Peru. I don't want to fund pro-American comic books in Peru. I don't want to fund pro-American musicals in Ireland. I don't want to fund pro-America musicals or operas in Colombia, let alone DEI musicals or transgender operas or transgender comic books. I think that's just a stupid waste of tax dollars. Completely. We have homeless Americans here. We have homeless veterans on our street. Homeless veterans, guys that put their entire life on the line for this country, who through no fault of their own fell into the hole of post-traumatic stress and drug abuse and addiction, and they're on our streets. And we said, hey, hold up a sign and ask for change. That's the best we can do for you. We have to fund a transgender comic book in Peru. Does any of this make sense to you? Just the tip of the iceberg. This is just the tip of the iceberg. USAID also gave almost $2 million to Asociación Lambda in Guatemala to strengthen trans-led organizations to deliver gender-affirming healthcare, advocate for improved quality access to services, and provide economic empowerment opportunities. So, trans surgeries and jobs in Guatemala. Okay. USAID spent $40 billion of taxpayer dollars to fund foreign aid, like $45 million to DEI scholarships in Burma, $520 million for consultant-driven ESG investments in Africa, and $1.2 billion in awards to undisclosed recipients. I bet none of them were Democrats. USAID awarded almost $1 million to Stephen Leonelli of Washington, D.C. for supporting development, democracy, and innovation inclusive development hub programs protecting the human rights of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and intersex individuals. That's money well spent. And they also spent about $400,000 in 2024 for Honduras to help focus on the efforts of accompanying social actors, especially the youth, in actions that promote and enhance constructive dialogue with social oversight of and advocacy towards the legislative work of the National Congress and internal structures, commissions, and political party benches. So we're propping up youth groups to influence politics in Honduras. That's good. That's good. Did you vote for any of this? You know, I love it when they say, we didn't vote for Elon. Nobody voted for Elon except, well, we voted for the promise that Trump said that Elon would come in and slash a lot of this wasteful spending. Nobody voted for him. All right. Did anybody vote for transgender comic books in Peru? Show of hands. Not all at once, please. We're looking for a tally. No? Oh. Weird. It's 1024 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, and you got to talk to my friends at Better Water. We talk about Better Water all the time. If you need a water filtration system or water softener in your home, you need to call the best. You need to call Better Water, because Better Water, they understand that there could be a lot of stuff in your water. Let's not lie. And this is the water that you're drinking. This is the water that you're bathing in. Do you want E. coli in your water? Do you know if you have E. coli in your water? Well, talk to Better Water, and let's get your water tested for free. Yeah, Better Water will test your water for free. You call my friend Brandy, you call my friend Craig, they'll get you set up, and they'll look at your water for free. It's that simple. They'll remove everything from your water with reverse osmosis units, water softeners, specialized filter, UV lights, you name it, and they're based out of Smyrna and treat all of Middle Tennessee. Go to betterwater.com to learn more, or better yet, give them a call right now and tell them Chris Hand sent you. 615-355-6063. That's 615-355-6063, betterwater.com.
What's up with President Trump's nominees? We'll tell you who's getting votes today and when they'll happen. That's coming up at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. 10:29 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Chuck Schumer said DOGE and Elon Musk are operating as an unelected shadow government, conducting a hostile takeover of the federal government. But when you look at the spending of some of these government programs, I welcome the hostile takeover. I saw a meme last night. They said, nobody voted for Elon. So, yeah, I also didn't vote for the IRS, the DEA, the CDC, the NIH, the WHO. Yet there they are. There they are. Deal with it. We're getting rid of the wasteful spending in government. Whether you like it or not, buckle up. It's going to be a bumpy ride, and your gravy train is coming to a close. It's 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.30 now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. There's word that as many as 20,000 federal workers have decided they don't want to come back to the office full time. Senator Marsha Blackburn tells the Dan Mandis Show they're accepting a buyout offer because, in part, they're not even living in D.C. anymore.
We're giving them the option to take a buyout and leave federal service. And now we think that a lot of them are actually going to take the buyout because they've moved to other parts of the country.
The White House is hoping to get even more federal employees to accept that offer. RFK is on his way.
The vote in the Senate Finance Committee was along party lines, with 14 Republican votes in favor and 13 Democratic votes against. Louisiana Republican Senator Bill Cassidy, a doctor who hinted he was skeptical of Robert F. Kennedy Jr., ended up backing him in committee. The vote on the Senate floor could be narrow, but for now, there's no sign there's enough opposition to block Kennedy's confirmation.
ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy there. More than 100 people will soon be out of a job in Lawrence County. The manufacturing company Modine says it'll begin laying off employees later this year because of financial pressures. That company had just announced a $1.2 million investment in Lawrence County in 2021. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
dude is probably one of the most unintelligent billionaires I have ever met or seen or witnessed. Which, you know, you can probably even glean that from watching these people on TV. Anyways, all of that is to say is that they don't do their homework. Clearly, like, they're putting 19-year-olds in at the Treasury. This dude is not smart. And the danger in the lack of intelligence and the lack of expertise that Elon has. I mean, this guy is one of the most morally vacant, but also just least knowledgeable about these systems that we really know of.
That's AOC and her thoughts on Elon Musk. Probably one of the most unintelligent billionaires I've ever met. Okay. All right. That's a hot take. It's a hot take, AOC. Weren't you a bartender just a few years ago? Weird. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, and I don't mean to disparage bartenders. I know you're a step above AOC. I'm just saying, what is she talking about? Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems at betterwater.com. AOC, Elon is probably one of the most unintelligent billionaires I've ever met. He doesn't understand everything. Well, how did he get to the bottom of this so quickly? How did he get to the bottom so quick? He's exposed USAID in a matter of a few days to the likes of which nobody saw coming. He essentially found the Democrats' golden goose, one Twitter user put it. And they're all panicked because these are the slush funds that they operate in. This is where the kickbacks come from. This is where the influence peddling comes from. It's all wrapped up in USAID. Now, Democrats aren't the only ones doing it. You can point to many Republicans like, I don't know, Lindsey Graham and say, you've been the beneficiary of some of this USAID money too. They have. A lot of them have. It's got to stop. Elon Musk, Donald Trump are putting America first and saying, maybe we shouldn't be funding transgender comic books in Peru. Maybe a DEI musical in Ireland isn't the right way to spend American tax dollars. When we're looking to ballot the budget and cut spending, maybe we should stop funding transgender operas in Colombia. Those are the funny ones. Like, so, those are the, we can all laugh about that. But the reality is some of this stuff is very, very dark. And they're influencing news outlets in Ukraine. They're pushing propaganda on citizens. They are funding the opium farming in Afghanistan. And they're funding the illegal immigration into our country. Do you know how bad it got? Elon Musk shared that the Biden administration shifted billions of dollars from helping Americans in need to facilitating illegal immigration. There was an NGO out there that was getting paid $600 million every 2 months to help facilitate illegal immigration. You can't make this stuff up.
I'd like to ask Mr. Carroll and anybody else who would like to answer this. Can you name some of these NGOs that have specifically taken these hundreds of millions of dollars and not used it to protect these children?
Catholic Charities, Youth and Family Services, Jewish Family Services. I spoke to a gentleman that works in DHS. He actually sends the electronic fund transfers, and I asked him, sir, tell me, who do you send, who are you responsible for, and how much is the largest check you cut? He said, I'm over Jewish Family Services, and I cut a check for $600 million. And I said, is that for like 3 years? And he told me, JJ, get in the game. That's 2 or 3 months, and it's renewable.
I'd like to ask Mr. Carroll.
$600 million every 2 or 3 months, and it's renewable. And this is helping facilitate the illegal immigration into our country. Again, veterans, homeless. Families in Western North Carolina, homeless. Families in California, homeless. East Palestine, Ohio, still dealing with the toxic train derailment that just never got cleaned up the way it should have been. Insanity. You got actual cities in America where they don't have good drinking water. Flint, Michigan, looking at you. Yet we have plenty of money for this kind of stuff. It's insane. These people should be tried for treason to the American people. What they've done with your tax dollars is unforgivable, and we shouldn't forgive them. We shouldn't. And AOC gets up there and says, Elon is the most unintelligent billionaire I've ever met. Explain to me how he exposed the scam in about 2 weeks on the job. Explain that to me, please. Please. I would love to hear it. I would love to hear it. Meanwhile, she said he's putting 19-year-olds in charge in the Treasury. You know what? The 19-year-olds that they're grabbing are pretty dang smart, actually. And we're finding this out because the DOGE kids are getting doxxed. I don't know if you know what. Do you know what doxxed means? It's like when your name, your picture, your address is exposed on the internet. So you have this Reddit forum called Fed News, and they're doxing all the Elon Musk Doge kids. They're even threatening to put them in body bags. Why? Because we cut off the funding for your transgender comic book in Peru? No, I mean, it's because you cut off their slush fund. That's why. So you got people doxing these kids. It's absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. And then you look at the loser that's doxing these guys. So there's a guy that's doxing a lot of them, and he is a reporter for Mashable. Mashable. Yep. University of North Texas grad, Chance Townsend. And his bio says he's a proud orange cat father, and in his free time he cooks, he loves to sleep, and he finds great enjoyment in Detroit sports. So that's who's doxing them. All right, let's what about the kids that are being doxed? You know, this is from the most unintelligent billionaire that AOC has ever met. Well, he must be hiring a bunch of idiots, right? Well, actually, believe it or not, the people that are being doxed, the Doge kids, they have degrees from Stanford, UC Berkeley, MIT. They've worked at Google, Tesla, SpaceX, OpenAI. They hold patents in critical areas such as blockchain consensus mechanisms, AI-driven fraud detection, scalable payment networks. There's some of them that have pioneered open source frameworks used by developers worldwide. They've built award-winning solutions in decentralized finance and robotics. One member of the Doge team actually decoded ancient texts using machine learning. He was recognized for this in top scientific journals. He decoded an ancient scroll. Yeah, they're not sending their best, AOC. Okay. I could go on. One of the Doge kids designed a blockchain-based remittance system that transformed financial access in underserved regions. Their work has been celebrated at premier tech conferences and academic publications, and through accolades like hackathon victories and fellowships reserved for visionary innovators. Those are the Doge kids. It's funny. I was having a conversation with my pastor yesterday, and he said to me, I think Elon is smarter than your average government employee. And I quipped back. I said, I bet you could go down the chain of command and you could get to like 17, 18, 19 on the list, and they would be smarter than your average government employee. And after reading the news about the Doge kids that are being doxxed, it was like, yeah, they are. They're much smarter than your average government employee. AOC, though. AOC can't believe it. She can't believe it. She thinks Elon is one of the most unintelligent billionaires.
This dude is probably one of the most unintelligent billionaires I have ever met.
I've ever met. How many billionaires have you met? That would be my question. He's one of the most unintelligent. Did Democrats buy this stuff? Are they eating this up? Do you think the Democrats are eating this stuff up? Probably. Yeah. That's yeah. Unreal. This is where we're at. So you have Doge employees now being targeted and doxxed. Again, doxing is releasing your name, picture, address on the internet. They're being threatened to be put in body bags. Why? For exposing government fraud. They signed up for a dangerous job. Let's make no bones about it. This is a dangerous job. when you're cutting off money to these just obviously bad actors in the government, you're making some powerful enemies. You are. Well, U.S. Attorney Ed Martin, he has confirmed that DOGE employees are being targeted, and he said it's in violation of the law. And they're looking out for him. U.S. Attorney Ed Martin confirmed yesterday that the Department of Government Efficiency employees are being targeted in a violation of the law. He said our initial review of the evidence presented to us indicates that certain individuals and or groups have committed acts that appear to violate the law in targeting DOGE employees. We are in contact with the FBI and other law enforcement partners to proceed rapidly. We also have prosecutors preparing. While Martin did not provide any names of individuals or groups, he did say that the arrests were incoming. So if you've been posting on the Fed news on Reddit, if you're one of those Redditors, get ready. You may get a knock at your door because what you're doing is illegal. You're putting people's lives at risk. And for what? You want the continuation of abuse of American taxpayer dollars? Got it. The message comes after an earlier message by Martin informing Musk that the threats to DOGE workers will not be tolerated. He posted this on X. I recognize that some of the staff at DOGE has been targeted publicly. At this time, I ask that you utilize me and my staff to assist in protecting DOGE work and the DOGE workers. Any threats, confrontations, or other actions in any way that impact their work may break numerous laws. Let me assure you of this. We will pursue any and all legal action against anyone who impedes your work, threatens your people. We will not act like the previous administration who looked the other way as the Antifa and BLM rioters, as well as thugs with guns, trashed our capital city. We protect DOGE and their workers no matter what. This comes after, again, several groups online posted DOGE employees' information following the department's access of the U.S. Treasury federal payment system. Reporters at Wired tweeted out a list of DOGE employees. The DOGE workers were publicly named, and others began threatening them. Musk would then go on to tell X users that posting the names of employees was a crime. He posted that. He said, "You have committed a crime. You've committed a crime." I hope they throw the book at these kids. I do. The useful idiots of the previous regime. Congratulations. You played yourself. And it's a new age in America, and you're going to be found, and you're going to be charged. Make no mistake about it. These guys are exposing rampant fraud and government abuse of taxpayer money. And you're going to expose them? Why? You just really want the transgender comic books in Peru to continue? You really need the DEI musicals in Ireland? Or the transgender opera in Colombia? You really want to make sure that we keep facilitating the opium farming in Afghanistan? Got it. This isn't going to play out well for you. Make no mistake about it. AOC, one of the most unintelligent billionaires I've ever met. That's how she described Elon Musk.
This dude is probably one of the most unintelligent billionaires I have ever met.
Calvin in Lebanon, you're next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Calvin?
Hey, Chris, I just wanted to say that we got all three bodies of government, and that is a rare opportunity.
Yes, sir.
An opportunity that you need to get something amazing done. Now, the left would tell you, and they didn't even have all three bodies of government, I don't believe, and they got that Green New Screw deal, and they got the Omnibus bill. They hired they put funding for 87,000 new IRS agents with $80 billion in concrete for over the next 10 years for the IRS. What are we going to do amazing out of these three bodies of government? It better be something amazing, or I'm going to be pissed.
I'm with you.
We got all three bodies. And, I'd like to see something like, let's hire 20,000 new ICE agents to happen immediately. And instead of cleaning up one state today, we can clean up 2 or 3 states today, or 3 or 5 cities in the same state. And let's don't tell them we're coming. But something amazing better happen out of this Senate and this House. I don't know what's in the makings, but there better be something.
I'm with you, Calvin, 100%. This is an opportunity that cannot be wasted, and I appreciate your call. Thank you so much. You know, that it does seem like they have big plans. Trump administration finalizing plans, reports to shutter the education department. I'll be honest with you. I thought that was a pipe dream, but after seeing the work that the Trump administration has done these past 2 weeks, I just think this is par for the course. Trump is going all in on promises made, promises kept. And the Trump administration reported that they're finalizing plans to dismantle the education department through an executive order that would build on the president's promise to hammer the longtime conservative target. The order, which President Trump is expected to sign sometime this month, according to a White House official, was expected to lay out a two-part strategy for shuttering the agency, according to two people familiar with the plans and granted anonymity to discuss them. We'll see what happens there. But a lot of this stuff, executive orders can be undone by executive orders, right? We got to get some laws passed. Plain and simple. We also got to get RFK, Kash Patel, Tulsi Gabbard confirmed. It does seem like that is well on its way to happening. And then, yeah, the border, man. We got to buckle down. We got to get more people out. Yesterday, we played a clip of Governor Phil Murphy out of New Jersey. He was bragging. He's bragging. He said, I got an illegal alien living above my garage, and I dare the Fed to come get him. Well, Tom Homan heard you, sir. He heard you, and he responded last night on Fox News. I'll bring that to you when we return. It's 10:52 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Shine to you.
A key vote on more funding for the border and removing taxes from tips and overtime is delayed. We'll tell you about it at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
These guys got to get in line. Speed it up. Speed it up. I'm looking forward to the newscast, Ken Weaver. Remember yesterday we played this audio, Governor Phil Murphy.
Oh, yeah.
In New Jersey. We put on my audio, Mason, please. Thank you.
There's someone in our broader universe whose immigration status is not yet at the point that they are trying to get it to. And we said, you know what? Let's have her live at our house above our garage. And good luck to the feds coming in to try to get her.
Good luck to the feds, says Governor Phil Murphy. Good luck.
I mean, if he really cares about this person, why broadcast to the world that you're breaking the law?
Yeah, well, you know what? The message has been delivered to one Tom Homan.
Your comment on all of that?
Well, I think the governor's pretty foolish saying what he said, because I got note of it. Won't let it go. We'll look into it. And if he's knowingly harboring, concealing an illegal alien, that's a violation of Title 8 United States Code 1324. I would seek prosecution, or the secretary would seek prosecution. So maybe he's bluffing. If he's not, we'll deal with that.
Now, listen, I kind of tend to agree with what Chad said yesterday. I played him that during the cross. He's like, yeah, he's probably, they're on a work visa. They want to become a citizen or something along those lines. And he's doing it for clout. He's doing it for virtue. Tom Homan kind of echoes that there, too. He's probably bluffing. But if he's not, we'll deal with it. He wanted me to get the message received. I feel like if you're a radical leftist, one of the last people who you want to get the attention of is Tom Homan.
And as far as suing sanctuary cities, well, get in line, because the Trump administration is going to do that already. Sanctuary cities are sanctuaries for criminals. There's one example, right? If the young sanctuary cities in New York City, if they would have gave us over the killer of Laken Riley, when he got arrested in New York City for endangering a child, he would have been in jail. And he would never killed Laken Riley. Sanctuary cities are responsible for deaths of thousands of young children throughout my career. And we're going to sue him. We're going to hold him. And look, if he's got to go to the Supreme Court, that's what President Trump wanted to do. He will end sanctuary cities.
Let's go. There's a lot more on the border. Did you hear what Kristi Noem did to about 300,000 Venezuelans with temporary protected status? I'll tell you when we return. It's 11 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Eleven o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in our nation's capital, Fox News says a key vote on President Trump's big budget bill that includes more funding for the southern border and removal of taxes on tipped and overtime wages is delayed. Leadership not sure they have enough votes after members of the House Freedom Caucus came out saying they want deeper spending cuts. Leadership knows they have a razor-thin majority, can only afford to lose 1 or 2 votes. Elsewhere in our nation's capital, RFK Jr. closer to becoming Secretary of Health and Human Services.
The vote in the Senate Finance Committee was along party lines, with 14 Republican votes in favor and 13 Democratic votes against. Louisiana Republican Senator Bill Cassidy, a doctor who hinted he was skeptical of Robert F. Kennedy Jr., ended up backing him in committee. The vote on the Senate floor could be narrow, but for now, there's no sign there's enough opposition to block Kennedy's confirmation.
And the recovery efforts continue after the deadly mid-air collision between a military helicopter and American Airlines jet. 55 bodies of the 67 people who died have been recovered from the icy waters of the Potomac River in Washington.
Crews are hoping to pull the plane's cockpit out of the water today. After they do that, once they get the plane fully out of the water, then they will work on getting the Black Hawk out of the water.
That's Gio Benitez reporting. Nashville's about to partner up with Virginia to share 911 backup plans. News 2's Peyton Kennedy.
It's a partnership with Fairfax County, Virginia, that would
create backup in case one were to lose service. I'm told Fairfax County is similarly staffed and trained, and they would answer and process our 911 calls if need be, and vice versa. They would enter those calls into a web-hosted computer dispatch system that's accessible to both departments.
Nashville dispatchers would still be able to send emergency help using the system. It's the first such system in the nation. And when Tennessee lawmakers soon return to session, they'll consider a plan to build a brand new parking garage in downtown Nashville. The $25 million garage would create at least 400 new parking spots downtown, but the public would not be allowed to use it. The new garage would be built exclusively for state legislative employees. Reaction from folks downtown speaking to Channel 4.
I don't think it's fair.
I don't want my taxes going to something that's not going to benefit me. You know what I mean?
Right now, they park at the Municipal Auditorium garage, which some lawmakers say is a hotbed of crime.
If we wait till one of our employees are assaulted or killed, it's going to cost us a lot more.
That's Republican State Rep Tim Rudd. He tells Channel 4 News the state's already paying the city of Nashville $2 million each year to lease that garage. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
It's 11:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. You can watch the show on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. If you're on YouTube, hit like and subscribe while you're there. You can listen to us anywhere you go on the iHeartRadio app, the TuneIn app, the 99.7 WTN app. If you miss anything or you want to hear it again, podcasts are always available on Apple and Spotify. My interview with Colton Maccabee, the J6 prisoner, that's available on YouTube, condensed into one interview segment. And it's also on the Apple and Spotify podcast platform, part 1 and part 2.
Yeah, and if for some reason it uploaded a little weird, it didn't upload the first part, so part 2 comes first, part 1 is second, but they are both up there.
Yeah, they're both up. So, yeah, sometimes the internet's a little bit dodgy.
Yeah, it's my favorite.
That's all right. It's all right. Shout out to
Great
Mason
interview,
for putting those together. Yeah, dude, Colton's awesome.
Killed it. I loved hearing his conversation. I hope we can have him on again soon to hear a little more of his story and how life's going.
He's actually on Twitter, if you want to give him a follow.
Yeah.
At J6 Sheriff, Colton Maccabee.
That's a great user.
J6 Sheriff, isn't that
That's
solid?
good. That's so good.
He was just tweeting at me, so I was looking at his stuff, and it kind of top of mind.
Hey.
Follow me while you're on the platform at Chris Hand on Air on Twitter, Instagram, and True Social. Hit the follow button. I will follow back. It's been confirmed that I do that unless you look like a Russian bot or a China bot, for the most part.
You never know.
I try to do my best. And if I haven't followed you back, you want me to, just shoot me a message or something like that, and I'll get it done. So we were talking about the border. This is one of the big topics that was before the election was all the temporary protected status that the Biden administration granted. And J.D. Vance was so smooth. He said, listen, especially when it came to the Haitian migrants, he said, you're calling them legal immigrants, but they're not. Joe Biden waved a magic wand, and he gave all these people temporary protected status, but they wouldn't have been admitted in this country without that. They just wouldn't have. They wouldn't have met the bar. They wouldn't have met the threshold, and they wouldn't have been allowed in. Well, Kristi Noem, our new DHS secretary, she's working to fix some of those issues. And she's starting with the Venezuelans, as we know, home to the lovely Tren de Aragua, who have only taken over a handful of apartment complexes, make no mistake. And they're doing the jobs Americans don't want to do, like, pulling the fingernails out of women while they extort them for money. These are just jobs Americans don't want to do. So, we got to let them in, right? Kristi Noem says no. She has actually revoked temporary protected status for over 300,000 Venezuelans in the United States. And listen, applaud her for this effort. That's fantastic. She's revoked that. This was breaking yesterday. It means that those Venezuelans who are given protection by the U.S. government from returning to their home countries in turmoil could face deportation if they don't choose to return on their own. And again, this includes any members of the violent Tren de Aragua gang. You got to go. You got to go. Even if you had TPS, temporary protected status, sorry, not sorry, no longer applies. Thank you. Thank you. There were Venezuelans who are in the U.S. on this program, and they're losing their status within 60 days of that termination notice. As Trump has begun issuing deportations of Venezuelans who are illegally in the U.S., he's been in contact with President Nicolas Maduro about accepting those people home. Per the New York Times, over 1 million people are in the U.S. with this status. So a lot of them are going to be the CHNV, right? So it's Chile, Honduras, Chile, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. Venezuelans have 300,000 that are going to lose that status. Another 250,000 will have the status in place until September. Venezuela originally were like, no, we're not taking these migrants home. But then they reversed course over the weekend because Trump was doing Trump things, and it gave him the old what now? And a bit of a threat goes a long way with this current president. He said, it is so good to have the Venezuela hostages back home, and very important to note that Venezuela has agreed to receive them back into their country, all Venezuela illegal aliens who are encamped in the U.S., including violent gang members, Tren de Aragua. He posted that on True Social. Venezuela has further agreed to supply the transportation back. We're in the process of removing record numbers of illegal aliens from all countries, and all countries have agreed to accept these illegal aliens back. Furthermore, record numbers of criminals are being removed from our country, and the border numbers are the strongest they have been since the first term of the Trump administration. Important to note, border crossings down 93%. 93%. Massive. One of the first things we had to do was stop the bleeding. We have to. That being said, I think the deportation numbers are low, and I think it needs to be stepped up. I know that they say they're ramping up, and I'm gonna give them the grace that they deserve because they were effectively at zero under Joe Biden. It's going to take some time to scale up. I don't want to be too harsh, but let's be perfectly blunt. The numbers of deportations that are currently happening, not enough. Not going to cut it. If you believe the numbers that Trump has thrown around, which I tend to, that we had, 20 million, 21 million illegal aliens enter the country under Joe Biden, deporting, a few thousand a week, it's not going to cut it. It's just not. We need to step that up. This is going to help go a long way in that direction. Under the Biden administration, that temporary protected status was only intended for 18 months or so, but it could be extended year after year after year. And they say, we're going to stop doing temporary protected status, J.D. Vance said ahead of the election. Prior to leaving office, Biden's DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas extended protections for those on TPS. And now the new DHS Secretary, Kristi Noem, said, yeah, nope, hard pass, not going to do it. Thank you, Kristi. Thank you. Venezuela is experiencing a complex situation and multi-dimensional humanitarian crisis, Mayorkas said when making the extension. The crisis has reportedly disrupted every aspect of life in Venezuela. And I would argue that these Venezuelans coming in have disrupted every aspect of life in communities like Aurora, Colorado. Yet under the last administration, it was America last, and now it's America first. We're going to worry about the safety and security of our own citizens before the rest of the world's citizens. It's a culture shift. It's going to take some time to get used to, but this is what we got. Adults back in charge. The Biden administration also extended temporary protected status to persons from Cuba, Haiti, and other places. This is what led to high-profile circumstances in Springfield, Ohio, where you had 20,000 Haitians showing up in that small town and just wreaking havoc. You know, eating the dogs, eating the cats, car accidents everywhere. You remember. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Remember that video? What's that in your teeth? Smile for me. It was cat fur. It was always cat fur. Yuck. It's awful. Oh, it's awful. It's awful. Senator Tom Tillis is actually introducing a bill that will allow victims of illegal alien crime sue sanctuary city jurisdictions. This is going to go a long way. You're going to be able to hold these elected officials' feet to the fire. And shout out to Tom Tillis for doing this. He's a Republican out of North Carolina. He introduced a bill that would allow victims of crime at the hands of migrants sue the sanctuary jurisdictions that allowed the crime to occur. Thank you. Let's go. S-185, or the Justice for Victims of Sanctuary City Acts of 2025, was introduced to the Senate by Senator Tillis on January 23rd, alongside 10 other Republicans in the chamber. For far too long, we have watched local jurisdictions in North Carolina and across the country ignore the lawful notification and detainer requests made by ICE agents and instead release these dangerous criminals back into the communities, putting innocent lives at risk. I'm committed to working with President Trump to end illegal immigration and fight sanctuary cities that prioritize reckless, lawless policies over public safety. It is clear that liberal politicians want to put political ideology ahead of the safety of their constituents. It's time for Congress to step in and hold sanctuary cities accountable. This is going to go a long way. The bill states that a victim or the spouse of a family of a person who has been raped, murdered, or been the victim of any felony for which an alien has been arrested, convicted, or sentenced to a term of imprisonment for at least 1 year may bring an action for compensatory damages against a sanctuary state or city in the federal or state court in the jurisdiction failed to comply with a detainer for such alien or notify DHS about the release of the migrant. The bill does set a 10-year statute of limitations from either when the crime occurred or when a person died as a result of the crime. The bill will also withhold federal funds from sanctuary jurisdictions if they continue to refuse to enforce federal immigration law and put American lives at risk, stated a press release from Rep. Chuck Edwards, who introduced a version of this bill into the House. Sanctuary cities have shielded many of the nearly 650,000 criminal illegal aliens in the United States from facing consequences for their violent crime against innocent Americans for too many years. I'd argue all of them are criminals by virtue of illegally crossing the border, but, I digress. He says sanctuary cities cannot continue to jeopardize American safety without being held accountable for their role in the illegal immigrant crime crisis we are facing today. The Justice for Victims of Sanctuary Cities Act that I'm reintroducing will finally hold these communities responsible when their harmful, illegal policies result in a crime against an American citizen and will allow the victim to take legal action against counties, cities, or towns for the dangerous policies that directly led to their harm. It's about damn time. It is about damn time. And we got to secure the border. We got to make it harder for illegal aliens to get in here. And it's about time. Let's go to Terry in Martinsboro. Is that what it is? Martinsboro? Terry, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, Terry?
No, it's Murfreesboro.
Okay, I was like, I hadn't heard of Martinsboro.
Hey, I got to ask you a question. You remember that illegal alien that they took pleasure in showing the nation doing the two-fisted bird to America? You remember that guy?
Yes, that was in New York City, right?
Yeah, I think so.
The one that beat up the cops. Yep.
And he gave America the two-fisted bird. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
I would love to find out if they got him.
Me too. I'm gonna look it up. You're right. We should get an update on that guy.
We should find out, and then we should let America know, hey, he's on a fast plane back to where he came from.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I appreciate the call, Terry. Thanks so much. Let's go to Steve in the borough. You're next on Super Talk. What's up, Steve?
Okay, yeah, how you doing today?
Good, man. How are you?
Okay, hey, listen, maybe you can chime in after I hang up with you. I want to see how you feel about this situation that's going on in Los Angeles. I'm totally offended and appalled with what I'm seeing with these protesters. These people actually had a gall and the guts to protest for illegal people that are in the country illegally. They're shutting down interstates in Los Angeles. They're setting American flags on fire. They even set a U.S. Police vehicle on fire. This has been going on for the last 2 or 3 days in Los Angeles. And these people, I have to have the gall to say that Donald Trump is wrong for what he's doing by deporting these people, illegals out of the country, that these people have a right to be here. And I got a big problem with that. And I think Donald Trump needs to step in with the National Guard, and he needs to arrest all these individuals, and anybody found to be in this country illegally should be deported, because that's some bad business right there. When you have the nerve, you're in the country illegally, and then you have the audacity to go out to an American city and protest and burn the American flag, the country that you say you want to remain in. Yep. And I'd like to hear what you have to say about that. And thank you for taking my call.
Hey, anytime, Steve. No, I'm 100% with you, man. And these protests have been happening everywhere. They've been in Chicago, they've been in L.A., they were in Dallas and Houston, and you have to wonder who's funding these protests. I mean, Hakeem Jeffries a few days ago says we're going to fight against the Trump administration, and then protests start popping up. It seems to me like this, I don't know, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Maybe my tinfoil hat's on too tight, but it seems like these are funded by the same people that funded the Israel protests, the same people that funded the BLM protests, and it looks absolutely ridiculous. Could you imagine if Mason and myself snuck into, name a country. What country you got?
We're going to Ireland.
All right, we sneak into Ireland, right? And Ireland says, we got all these Americans sneaking in here, and we're going to deport them. And we say, you can't do that. And we go out and we wave American flags in the street. We say, how dare you? This is our home now. Viva la America. And then we burn the Irish flag. It wouldn't stand. It wouldn't stand in any other country. Why should it be standing here? Also, quick programming note. I had a friend at the illegal alien, stop the deportation protests in Dallas, Bo, and he said, hey, can we have story time on your show? He said, I got a lot of stories from this protest. So he's going to be on the show on Thursday. Tomorrow morning, I'm filling in for Mandis, who's getting his other eye cut open and fixed. So I'm filling in for Mandis tomorrow on Nashville's Morning News. Brian Wilson will be back in this chair talking over hip-hop beats again.
Let's go.
He sounds so good doing it.
Let's go.
And he said he needs to rant. I said, well, all right, perfect. But Thursday, when I'm back in my regular slot, Bo, our friend Bo, he's gonna give us story time from the illegal alien protests that were going on in Dallas. So that'll be a fun conversation. Bo is like the nicest guy in the world. Like he's like one of the greatest guys that I know. And he was being threatened to be shot. So the stories will be interesting. They will be interesting. More of your phone calls on the way. Al, Nick, hang out with us, guys. I'll get to you next right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. But first, I got to tell you about my friend Shane Ring over at Cover Nash. Do you need health insurance? Or is your health insurance currently just like way too expensive? Talk to Shane Ring. he has over 20 years of experience in health insurance, and he's going to shop the entire market for you and really save you some big bucks. He's actually able to save 30 to 60% on your monthly premiums easily. And he does it by looking at over 75 different companies. That's how many he's shopping from. And he'll offer you every type of plan available in the market. And it doesn't matter what your income level's at. It doesn't matter what your health situation is. Talk to Shane Ring. He doesn't want you to be taken advantage of by call center agents. He doesn't want to you taken advantage of by people with limited options. Don't do that. Talk to Shane. He'll give you all the options, and he'll find the best scenario for you or your family member. Give Shane a call today. He'll show you how much you could be saving on quality coverage right now. 615-465-0023. That's Shane's number, 615-465-0023. Or you can hit his website, covernash.com, to book an appointment immediately. It's time for you to have a quality health plan managed by you, not the government. Covernash.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
We are monitoring reports out of Europe about a school shooting in Sweden, and police quoted as saying around 10 dead. This story and more at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hate hearing those headlines. Ken Weaver is the guy to cover it. He'll bring it to you straight, no chaser. Prayer warriors up. Send in prayers out there. Hope that number is wrong and that it's much lower than that. That stuff sucks. Honestly, that sucks. We got a lot to cover here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We were talking about the border, illegal aliens, deportation. A lot of people want to chime in. Let's go to Al in Lebanon. You're up first on Super Talk. What's up, Al?
Yes, first of all, I'd like to say I'm a big fan of the show. Appreciate you and what you do. What's on my mind is I went by the DMV office this morning, and the amount of illegals there, you could fill up 5 motor coaches full of illegals there now. What I'm aggravated at is Marsha Blackburn and Bill Lee talking about all this tough talk out of one corner of their mouth, and on the other side, somebody's helping these people get these driver's license, get the EBT cards, get housing and all that stuff, still yet undermining President Trump's agenda.
Yeah, I'm with you. I have to dig into it a little bit more as far as it goes in Tennessee. But I don't doubt your experience, man. It wouldn't shock me one bit. I mean, this is not just a Tennessee issue. You know, this happens all over the place. I mean, currently, undocumented immigrants are not eligible for a driver's license in Tennessee. They can apply